speaking of Anchor, the company, like that was my transition point and we lost it completely.
There you go.
The company that we use to distribute our podcast, by the way, they're a sponsor of ours now. If you listen to the audio, you'll hear the sponsorship there. It's not on the video side. They started out as this very innovative audio first app, which was this kind of, you could distribute short form audio content. Think about it as the Vine of audio before Vine went out of business, right?
Okay.
It didn't disappear or anything. But, and it had a very unique proposition. It didn't work out. It pivoted into distributing podcasts. We love Anchor. I love, because I handle the audio side.
Love
Big
Anchor.
Man does nothing.
I do not.
There is an app, which you're probably too old to have heard of because you're 1,000 years old, called Clubhouse. What do you know about Clubhouse?
Okay, I'll tell you what. I actually had to learn about Clubhouse when you sent me this story, and in my old man way, I'll tell you this.
And by the way, Clubhouse has discriminated against us, and I'll get to that. You can start, but you know.
Yes, they have. But what I got, my first impression of reading about this, and this is actually going to show part of my, I guess, app age, is I thought of it, my first impression was an audio Quora. Do you remember the app Quora, right? It's still out there, right?
Yeah, I still use it.
Quora, right?
Yeah.
And this app that you're talking about, which is, I also thought like audio, an audio LinkedIn Quora, right? It's supposedly very business oriented, but an audio Quora's big thing in the beginning was post a question and people like Gary Vee or Bill Gates or some other big business person may actually answer your business type question, and it would have these high profile people be on there asking answering real questions.
I never saw a high profile person answer a question on Quora.
Oh, absolutely.
I never saw that.
Absolutely not. That was the whole reason. Joey McGurr, you and I both know.
Yes.
It's actually how he got me to download the app back in the day. That was his exact to me, and then he showed it to me. He's like, look, he showed me his phone. He's like, look, here's some of the questions. I've asked this, and here's who answered it, and blah, 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 blah. And that's how he got me to originally get into. I didn't know what Quora was until that point. I didn't know it was available. But I thought, hey, my point wasn't even the high-profile people. My take on it was
just the general population.
Yeah, here's an environment where people are asking real questions and getting high-quality answers. Now, is that still the case? I haven't been on Quora in forever, but the point is that's what it appeared to me, is real people helping other real people with real things, not what we do on social media in today's world, right? So that's what I got out of this, was an audio, meaning a voice version of a Quora. Yeah. That's what I got out of the reading that I did, at least initially.
Well, it's way more than that. It's a way more robust app, but here's why it's interesting. And here's how they discriminate against these two large, ethnically diverse people that you're seeing on your screen right here. They discriminated against us because we are Android power users and we don't have iPhones.
We do not. I did look, and I put this in my notes because Danny makes fun of me because I still write things down, but I put this in my notes that this currently is only, not only is it only available on iOS, it's currently only by invite only, meaning you have to be invited by someone in the app, and not everybody in the app, they don't get unlimited invites. It's like you get one when you register, and then you can get more if you interact with people, and so they're incentivizing the existing people to help each other and create what they call rooms and stuff like that, and interact, and then they give them more invites. The other thing that I found interesting is apparently the people that you invite, at least currently, you are tied to, meaning other people can see who invited you, which is apparently an inside big deal. Now, whether they intended it for that reason, it's being used for that reason, so it is. And the other part is they're flat out saying, look, we're doing it this way to begin with because we have a low infrastructure. Now, here's my thing. Now, this is a business and marketplace news show. Do they really have low infrastructure? Or is it just a flat out marketing ploy? We all know that sometimes if you create exclusivity, especially in the beginning, that you get something very viral. You get something very,
This is the supreme of apps. Like the Supreme clothing company now owned by VF Brands, which we covered on our first episode.
Mm-hmm.
This app is, like we've discussed too off air, Voxer. This was like Voxer, a similar principle. There have been so many upstarts in this space that you would think, what moron is going to go back to this well that clearly never drew water for anybody? But this marketing ploy where it's iOS exclusive, and 10 years ago, I think, you and I've been an Android user since BlackBerry stopped being a thing.
Yeah, exactly. I forever.
Yeah, so there was at one point this, like, and I remember I was texting with a gal and she's like, wait, your messages are green, not blue, or whatever the iOS like iMessage thing is. She's like, what are you, poor? Like she didn't say that in so many words. Which is why
hate that. That is 100% propelled by iPhone users, by the way. That is not true at all. But
I'm like, I literally at that time I was like, I'm using a $790 Galaxy, or it was a Samsung Galaxy Note 4 or something. And I was like, this is more expensive than any iPhone they sell and does a million more things in 4. Anyways, I digress on that front.
Right.
It's a brilliant marketing ploy because it worked for Instagram. So Instagram was not the first app to be like, hey, take a picture, put it on the internet, right? There was 1,000 of those apps. There's plenty of people going to that well, but I think what Clubhouse is doing is they are strategically rolling this thing out, and it's building this. The fact that you and I cannot access this app.
Well, look, so
both as Android users and because we don't have invitations.
That's why I lean toward it being a marketing ploy, because look, this technology, as you mentioned, Voxer, has been this technology that they're using it's essentially recording, right? It's this app, there's no pictures exchanging, there's no texting. It is 100%. You hit record on your phone, you record your audio, right, and you send it to somebody else for them to listen to it. Now, does it answer a question like we've all heard the statistics on? You read emails and the attitude that you're in, that there's no inflection and blah, 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 blah. But you mentioned Voxer earlier. When I first created the first company, the first big real estate company I was part of, in the very beginning, it was me and, the other board of directors and that kind of stuff. And they all convinced me to download this app called Voxer. And I was like, what the hell is this thing? And then it was essentially you hit record, you talk, and then it sends it to whoever. Now, I used it for them. I never understood it when I could just simply text you there's already an existing text app. Why did I need another app to just record my voice to send it to you? They claimed that it was faster, so much so that some of them used it so often that they would literally, if you're not on Voxer, you don't exist to me. Like, reading a text message was too much for them.
Listen, dealing with you, and I know that you're not as old as your attitude, right? And some people talk about, like everyone's heard the phrase old soul. He's not an old soul. He's just a curmudgeon. Like, it's not as much as he's positioned himself as the cheery, happy person in this relationship. Big man, I swear, is always like, I don't want to download another app.
I am.
Why would I do that?
Yes, I am.
But I will say this much: like, that is to their credit. They watched Voxer and all of these, and Anchor pivoted into
Ring Central was another one that did this. So the technology exists. It was called Ring Central, very similar in the way that it worked. The point, though, is this technology exists. It exists already. And so the fact that we can't handle the bandwidth of having more.
And let me tell you, the audio bandwidth is not huge.
No.
It's not. It is not hard to manage audio bandwidth at all.
No.
Video bandwidth is homicidal.
Yes.
Okay. If you're a video website and you try to go use AWS, good luck.
Right.
Right. So this app is pared down enough that I think it's going to have a small enough footprint, but this strategy, this rollout strategy of super sleek, like, it's this exclusivity. The fact that you and I, as both Android users, and we not having invitations, the fact that we can't use this app, but we're talking about it. Sure, like this is a content show where we do, the whole point of this thing is talking about content, like stuff, business stuff. It's content. We wanted it, but I'm just saying, the fact that I picked this story out of another 1,000 different stories, when there's
Right.
That's what they're getting at, and I think it is a winning strategy. So if you're out there and you're starting a business and you think, holy crap, I only have enough money to handle a server that can deal with 10,000 users. Brilliant.
Right. Well, but
scale to 10,000 users by saying invitation only. You get one invite.
I think they're I think they're accomplishing a couple of different things here. You know what I mean? And one of them is they're creating a great marketing ploy, right? They're making a non-secret secret out of the launch, right? And then the second thing that they're doing, and we kind of alluded this with the Quora thing earlier that you said that didn't happen, is if you're in the people that are getting it, apparently, now this I'm retelling what I've read through several stories that I read about this, is that the people that are already inside of this are some pretty high profile business types and that kind of stuff. So you're currently, if you're on the beginning part of this, if you're in this or in this in the next month or so, or you're early in this, you may get a lot more out of it than people that ultimately get in it because of a small environment, right? I mean, we talk about this with companies all the time. If you're the first 100 people, 400 people that work for a company, it can be really advantageous for you if that company turns out to be 100,000 employees, right? So this, in very much the same way, I think there are probably people in there right now that actually are building real good, beneficial business relationships because it's a small pool, right? And if you've got some high quality people, and maybe that's another thing they're trying to do, is control the quality of person that they have in there currently.
Yeah, but there's some, the problem with the, corporate press is it's hard to believe anything these people say about literally anything. But there's been like a few articles I've read, which is like, there were some controversial rooms on Clubhouse, and the guy who's currently starring in Undercover Billionaire season 2, Grant Cardone, who is like an internet, his rise to consciousness was because of the internet and his 10X conference and stuff like that. And he's a commercial real estate guy. He hopped on there to talk about when he was doing, like, to promote the show, and it worked out for both Clubhouse and the show. And it's interesting because people can have a dialogue about it. And if you are watching us and you're going, these guys aren't really explaining what this thing is that well, we can't try. We don't can't.
No, because we don't.
I can only watch a video about a guy telling you how it works.
And oh, by the way, if you're one of the people that have access to it and you have an invitation, you need to send it to one of us. I'll go. I hate iPhones, but I'll go. I'll get access to one specifically for us to. You know what I mean? Do this app. You know what I mean? Specifically for.
I have access to an iPhone, and
I have access to an iPad. One of my children's has an iPad, so I'll be able to access it through there. So I could do that. Hey, he won it. I didn't buy it. No joke.
Okay,
he won it.
That's fine.
So, I did not give my money. You know what I mean? Anyway, point is, I think it's really just a good strategic marketing ploy. I don't believe one bit in this. We're trying to slowly grow crapola.
Right.
I don't. I think it's just good old fashioned marketing, and good for them. If they can take a product, brush it off, put a new lacquer or paint on it, and get it back out there, and have people, you know what I mean, have access to it. Good for them.
And listen, this is a tip for anyone who's out there. There are so many businesses that have tried to start and they sucked.
Yeah.
Right? Their execution sucked.
Their marketing sucked. Their rollout sucked. Their whatever.
Whatever it was. There was a company that existed before Uber.
Yep.
And Gary Vee talks about how they sucked at executing. Right? Mm-hmm. So that first to market advantage isn't always an advantage. You need to have an execution advantage as well. And sometimes it's just where the market is. We're just early, too late, something. Something about your branding, Voxer, the 2X's, it sounds a little porny.
Well, but you don't think Dos Equis actually benefited this company too, rolling out in 2020? I mean, come on, timing as well. I mean, some things about growing a business, especially a startup, like you just said, it's not only about your plan or your execution or your first to market. Sometimes it's things that are out of your control. The timing of it all when it rolls out, what's going on in the world when it rolls out, what something happens. I mean, look, 2 weeks ago there was an app that was available. Again, we're not going to talk about why, but it is no longer available in the marketplace. If you said 2 weeks before then that app wasn't going to be $1 billion app and everybody tied to it wasn't going to be rich, they would have told you were crazy. And then all of a sudden it goes out of an existence because of a mistake. Right. The point, though, is that is an example of an uncontrollable factor, right?
Yeah.
That was outside of the company. The company didn't do that. It had to suffer because of other people's mistakes. Sometimes that happens, but so there's a whole lot that goes into this rigmarole, but like what you're saying, you can't stop it from you being... Again, we say it on this podcast all the time. Listen to your audience. Be nimble. Be willing to change. Be willing to go that plan along with them when you get feedback from your audience, and move along with them.
And Anchor, who I think, kind of to the best of my recollection, using the language that I use when I'm being deposed, to the best of my recollection, it was Anchor. And there was guys like Gary Vee using Anchor, and they were using it with a similar intent, but Anchor just couldn't find the audience. It was too early. It was too late. It was executed poorly, branded wrong, whatever it is. But they still pivoted, and they became a huge acquisition for Spotify. And I just think that the reason I wanted to talk about this was the buzz around this. And something that I did recently was, as our podcast is growing and more of my focus is here, I got rid of one of my Twitter accounts off of my phone because it's the one where I post extremely toxic content.
Okay, I'm going to say this right now because we always forget this. Because this is look, for all of you that subscribe so far, we appreciate you so much. For all of you that are listening so far, we appreciate you so much. Please, everyone, if you're new to the show, we always forget during the show to say, please click the button down below to subscribe. Yeah. Please click the bell down below to get notified if you're enjoying this thing, us ranting at each other, that kind of stuff. So I digress. Go ahead.
We are not ranting at each other. This isn't chaos. This isn't insanity. We're having an educated dialogue about business and marketplace news.
Educated is loosely, brother. Educated, that word is loose.
It's relative, okay?
We are idiots versus idiots, all right?
Yeah. But anyways, I just thought it was a interesting play here.